After I had my father cancel my black card, my campus belle girlfriend nearly ended up in jail for dining and dashing on a luxury meal costing over 10,000 per person, sitting in my private booth. I watched the frantic distress messages she kept sending. "Gu fan, we agreed today to celebrate Jincheng's birthday. What right do you have to freeze the card? Where are you right now? Get over here and pay the bill immediately. A whole crowd is waiting. Hurry up and come over, or else I will never speak to you again. I order you to answer my phone right now." I chuckled in cold exasperation. Using my money to act wealthy and putting on arrogant airs, did she truly think I was still that bottomless simp from before? I harbored a secret. I had been reborn in my past life as the son of the richest tycoon. I had foolishly debased myself to simp for a poor girl from the countryside. She spent my hard-earned money while bragging to others that I was just her lapdog, treating me like a lowly servant to cater to her and her new husband. Eventually, she seized control of my family's corporation, and in the end, my daughter and I were left destitute and died tragically on the streets. At this moment, the incessant ringing of my phone interrupted my thoughts. The moment I picked up, her domineering, bossy voice came barking through the receiver. "Gu fan, get over here and settle the bill right now." Holding my phone, I stepped over to the side. "Settle the bill? I was not the one spending that money, so why are you telling me to pay for it?" Liu Ryan felt that I had changed. First I did not book the hotel, and now I refused to pay for her. Just yesterday when we went to the library to study, I had even gone early to save seats and bought milk tea for them. How could I wake up from a nap in the library and turn into someone like this right now? The hotel manager stood holding the bill, blocking them from leaving. Liu Ryan came from an impoverished family. Her tuition and daily living expenses had always been covered by me. "Miss Liu, will you be paying via WeChat or credit card?" the manager inquired politely from the side. Liu Ryan raised her hand, signaling the manager to wait. She stepped into a corner and lowered her voice. "Hasn't it always been that I spend and you pay the bill?" She spoke with complete entitlement, without even a single shred of shame or guilt. "You spend and I pay." I let out a mocking scoff. 10 years had passed since those memories of being a simp, and I had almost forgotten the foolish things I once did. Hearing my laughter, Liu Ryan's brow instantly furrowed into a tight knot. Her current situation was so humiliating, yet I could still laugh so casually on the other end of the line. "Gu fan, get over here and pay for me right now, or else I will never talk to you again." How laughable. If you won't talk to me, then don't. Who do you think you are? Am I your father? Or something to you? You were the one who spent the money, so on what grounds should I be the one to pay? Besides, you spend my money without any shame, yet you still put on that reluctant act. In the past, to protect her fragile ego, I would never have uttered such harsh words, but in this life, I held back no longer. Hearing my words, Liu Ryan's heart raced with anxiety. All along, she had portrayed herself as a kind-hearted heiress from a wealthy family. I had constantly showered her with money, leading her to believe that she was truly an affluent heiress. Being exposed by me like this made her face flush crimson with shame. However, thinking about how many classmates and her newly confessed handsome boyfriend were still stuck here and able to leave without paying, she assumed a stern tone. "I know you are just throwing a tantrum right now. As long as you come over right now to settle the bill, I won't be angry with you." Liu Ryan, let me make this crystal clear from now on. Don't even dream of getting another penny from me. Even if I gave it to a beggar on the street, I would never give it to you. Furthermore, whether you are angry or not has nothing to do with me whatsoever. Without my money, your life from now on is going to be truly miserable, I said gloatingly. You should think about how you will pay for your boyfriend's lavish birthday party right now. Otherwise, all of you will be detained at Yunting Hotel, and your fake heiress identity will be completely shattered. With that, I hung up the call. In my previous life, I was sick on Zi Jincheng's birthday and could not attend, but I had prepared everything for him. Just now, scrolling through WeChat moments, I found out the two had gotten together on Zi Jincheng's 20th birthday. I had truly been played so miserably. Hearing the cold, mechanical dial tone, Liu Ryan panicked instantly. She figured I must have discovered that she and Zi Jincheng were together, which was why I was acting like this. If she had known, she would never have let anyone present post on WeChat moments. She should have made up an excuse, claiming she feared I couldn't handle the emotional blow, and quietly dated Zi Jincheng in secret. Now that I knew, I was no longer willing to play the foolish payer. Meanwhile, the hotel manager stood waiting, appearing increasingly impatient. The urgent priority was to settle the hotel bill. She pulled out her phone and texted me, "You misunderstood about Jincheng and me. He is not my boyfriend. Right now the lobby manager won't let us leave. Please help out. If nothing else, tell the lobby manager to give me a grace period of a few days." This was her stalling tactic. She believed that as long as she placated me, I would never have the heart to watch her suffer like this. Little did she know, I did not reply to her message at all, with a blissful smile on his face. Di Jincheng walked over. "What's wrong?" "The classmates are saying their legs are tired from standing by the entrance." Liu Ryan wore an expression of deep embarrassment. Right at this moment, the manager walked over again. "Miss Liu, how would you like to settle the bill?" Only then did Di Jincheng realize that they were not allowed to leave because the bill had not been paid. He looked at Liu Ryan, whose eyes darted away. She looked at the manager and said, "Manager, there is a temporary issue with my funds. Can I bring the payment over tomorrow?" The hotel manager shook his head. "Miss Liu, I am sorry, but we have no such precedent here. I am just an employee and lack such authority. With so many classmates here, why don't you pool your money together to clear the bill?" Looking at the 300,000 RMB bill in her hand, Liu Ryan clenched her fists tightly. The other classmates walked over one by one. "Why is settling the bill taking so long?" Standing there, the manager observed Liu Ryan. Her clothing and designer handbag were certainly not cheap, leading him to believe she was a wealthy heiress, never imagining she couldn't even produce 300,000 RMB. Liu Ryan lowered her head in thought for a moment. She unclasped a bracelet from her wrist. "These were all luxury gifts I had given her, surely worth a considerable amount. Manager, an issue came up on my end. Can I leave this bracelet as collateral with you and return tomorrow to pay?" Having just started dating Di Jincheng, she could not let him know her financial reality was so dire. The hotel manager maintained a polite smile. "Miss Liu, my apologies, but we have no such policy." Di Jincheng found it peculiar. Liu Ryan's usual spending was quite lavish, so how could she fail to produce 300,000 RMB? "Ryan, what happened? My bank cards are all kept with Gufan, and he is currently unreachable." Di Jincheng breathed a slight sigh of relief, having worried that something went wrong with Liu Ryan. "Then what should we do now?" He looked at Liu Ryan with concern. His family was ordinary, with a monthly living allowance of only 1,000 RMB. Today was his birthday, and 300,000 RMB was an enormous sum to him. "Don't worry, it's fine. You and our classmates wait here for a bit. I will find a way to gather 300,000 RMB right now." With that, she promptly left the hotel to scrounge up the funds. Over the past few years, I had given her numerous luxury items and limited edition sneakers. Selling those should fetch around 300,000. After finishing dinner with my parents, I walked out and saw my classmates all standing outside the private room. My relations with these classmates were quite distant, so I had no desire to greet them. However, Di Jincheng spotted me immediately. "Gufan, why are you here? I thought you were resting sick in the dormitory. I was even planning to bring some cake back for you later." "Hello, Uncle and Auntie. I didn't know you were visiting today, so I failed to host you properly. Please excuse my poor manners." Seeing my parents, Di Jincheng greeted them with utmost politeness. My parents had a favorable impression of him, as he was often around me, seemed well-mannered, and carried himself with poised elegance. "Zizi, we only just learned that today is your birthday, so we didn't prepare a gift for you. Happy birthday." My mother wore an elegant smile, even dressed in simple attire. The noble grace she exuded remained unmistakable. "Thank you, Auntie. Just meeting you and Uncle brings me joy. How could I expect any birthday gift?" He possessed a silver tongue that kept my parents smiling happily, if not for my past life's bitter lessons. Seeing him like this might have fooled me with his gentle and obedient mask once again. Observing my parents, the classmates noted their distinguished aura, wondering why someone from such a family. Outside, my relationship with my classmates was quite ordinary, so I had no wish to greet them. But Di Jincheng spotted me immediately. "Gufan, why are you here? I thought you were sick resting in the dorm. I was even planning to bring some birthday cake back for you later." "Hello, Uncle and Auntie. I didn't know you were visiting today, so I failed to host you properly. Please forgive my poor manners." Seeing my parents, Di Jincheng greeted them with polite courtesy. My parents had a rather favorable impression of Cheng, as he was often around me, appeared obedient and well-mannered, and carried himself with poised elegance. Zizi, we only just learned that today is your birthday, so we didn't prepare a gift for you. Wishing you a very happy birthday. My mother's face carried a graceful smile, even dressed in simple clothing. The noble elegance she possessed remained unmistakable. Thank you, Auntie. Just seeing Uncle and Auntie makes me happy enough. How could I expect any birthday gift? He had a smooth tongue that kept my parents smiling continuously. If not for the bitter experiences of my past life, seeing him speak like this, I might still have been fooled by his gentle, well-mannered facade. Seeing my parents, the classmates thought their demeanor was distinguished, wondering how someone from such a family could act so shamelessly toward Liu Ryan, clinging stubbornly to her even when she was clearly impatient with me, and acting as an annoying third wheel between Liu Ryan and Cheng. By the way, Gu Fan, Ryan said all her cards are with you. Since you weren't around, the hotel bill hasn't been paid yet. Cheng wore a smile, but secretly thought that after tonight, he would take control of Liu Ryan's cards, and by then, she wouldn't let me act as a third wheel between them anymore. The surrounding classmates were watching me, thinking how utterly shameless I was to hold on to Liu Ryan's card and play disappearing acts, forcing them to wait here for so long, looking at me with undisguised contempt. Confused, I asked, what card? Cheng thought I was playing dumb, but in front of so many classmates, he couldn't afford to lose his temper lest he ruin his well-crafted persona. Are you? Yen said her bank card was left with you. It's fortunate we ran into you here. Ryan called you but couldn't get through, and you didn't reply to my messages either. She has gone back to campus to find you. Ryan is truly something. It's just a simple birthday, yet she insisted on arranging such a grand banquet for me. Cheng spoke with calculated pretension. Everyone knew Liu Ryan was the one I liked, so saying this was purely meant to make me jealous. Unexpectedly, my face wore a calm, faint smile. Did she tell you that her bank card is kept with me? Seeing that I wasn't angry but instead showed an indifferent smile, Cheng felt deeply unsettled, yet he forced himself to maintain a tight smile. Yes, Gu Fan, just take out the card. Our classmates have been standing here for a long time. The glances from the classmates grew increasingly hostile. If not for me, they wouldn't be stuck here. I said Liu Ryan never left any bank card with me. Saying this, I turned to my parents. Mom, Dad, let's leave. Just as I turned, my hand was grabbed by someone. Cheng was afraid that if I left, Liu Ryan wouldn't find me later. After all, it was his birthday, so he couldn't just ignore it. Gu Fan, if that's the case, it might be a misunderstanding. How about this? Lend me 300,000 first, and when Liu Ryan returns, she will pay you back. Earlier, I hadn't answered Liu Ryan's call in front of my parents, so they were unaware of the situation. Knowing nothing, my father stood by, preparing to take out his bank card for the manager, but I stopped him immediately. I looked at Cheng. How can you be so sure she has 300,000 if she cannot produce it? I assume you won't be able to pay either. I had always known Cheng's family was poor. Cheng's expression flickered, but quickly returned to normal. Gu Fan, you and she come from the same hometown. You know Ryan's family is very wealthy, and it's impossible for her to not afford 300,000 RMB. If Liu Ryan's family weren't rich, you wouldn't have been simping for her all this time. My father wanted to say something, but held his words back after catching my glance. Lowered my head and glanced at the watch on my wrist. Didn't you say she went looking for me? Then I will wait for her right here. I want all of you to see with your own eyes whether her bank card is truly kept with me. Seeing me speak with such conviction, Cheng couldn't say much and could only maintain a gentle smile. He took my hand. To Gu Fan, this afternoon you looked quite unwell. Are you feeling better now? I am sorry for leaving you alone in the dorm while I went to celebrate my birthday. He could tell that today I was different from usual. With several classmates from our class present at the party, he couldn't afford to show any flaws, especially with my parents around. I had no patience to make small talk with him, merely keeping my head down playing on my phone. After a while, the classmates grew increasingly impatient, and even those who had backed Cheng began to hold critical views of him. I had my parents step outside to wait in the car. Cheng When will your girlfriend return? Lee Jincheng pulled out his phone and called Liu Ryan again, but the line remained busy and couldn't connect. He turned to ask the manager if the classmates could leave first while he and I stayed behind to wait. The manager shook his head. Mr. Z, unless the bill is paid in full, not a single person among you may leave. Among the dozens of classmates, someone finally started complaining. What is this? If you're hosting a birthday party, why didn't you have the money ready? How could you have the nerve to throw such a lavish celebration? Li Jincheng's girlfriend is way too unreliable. Had I known, I would never have come. Li Jincheng usually looks pretty well off, so how come he can't even afford birthday dinner expenses? Aren't he and Gufan on good terms? Gufan's parents were right here. Why didn't he borrow from them? Seeing me speak with such conviction, Li Jincheng couldn't say much and could only force a gentle smile. He grabbed my hand. Gufan, this afternoon you looked unwell. Are you feeling better now? I'm sorry for leaving you alone in the dorm to celebrate my birthday. He could tell I was different from usual today, with several classmates from our class attending the banquet. He couldn't show any bad temper, especially with my parents present. I had zero patience to chat with him, simply looking down and playing on my phone. After a while, the classmates grew increasingly impatient, and even those on Li Jincheng's side began to view him critically. I had my parents go outside and wait in the car. Jincheng, when is your girlfriend coming back? See, Jincheng took out his phone and dialed Liu Ryan again, but the call was constantly busy and couldn't get through. He turned and asked the manager if the classmates could leave first while he and I remained to wait. The manager shook his head. Mr. Z, unless the bill is paid in full, not a single person may leave. Finally, someone among the dozens of classmates grumbled. What a joke! Hosting a birthday party without preparing the money, yet having the nerve to throw such a grand celebration. Li Jincheng's girlfriend is completely unreliable. Had I known, I wouldn't have come. Li Jincheng usually seems well off, yet he can't even afford birthday dinner expenses. Aren't he and Gufan supposed to be on good terms? Gufan's parents were right here earlier. Why didn't he borrow some from them? The remarks from the classmates became harsher and harsher. See, Jincheng was so obsessed with saving face that he kept messaging Liu Ryan frantically on his phone, but she never replied. The more he thought about it, the more uneasy he felt. If this matter wasn't handled properly today, then his reputation in school would be completely ruined. After all, enjoyed the status of campus hunk, watching me leaning against the wall playing games. He gathered his courage and walked toward me. Gufan, for some reason, Ryan cannot be reached. Why don't you lend me 300,000 first? I will definitely pay you back. We are good brothers after all. Surely you won't leave me hanging. I looked up with a cold sneer. Good brothers? Hooking up with the girl I like behind my back? Is that what a good brother should do? Before this, I had truly treated Li Jincheng as a close brother, never expecting he and Liu Ryan had hooked up with each other so early on. With a lingering smile and an attitude of entitlement, Li Jincheng replied, when Ryan confessed to me, I was very surprised too. In truth, I really liked Ryan as well, but out of respect for your feelings, I never dared to say anything. But love must be mutual. Forced love never bears sweet fruit. Since she decided to be with me, then there is no need to hide it anymore. What a fine excuse about forced love. If I remember correctly, you used to constantly badmouth Liu Ryan in my ear, telling me to stop liking her. How come you ended up with her yourself now? He had wanted to convince everyone that they were mutually drawn to each other, never expecting I would expose all the bad things he had said about Liu Ryan. Back then, he badmouthed her just to get me to give up on her so he could be with Liu Ryan himself. Yet despite hearing so many of her flaws, I had stubbornly stayed infatuated with Liu Ryan. Falling in love happens in an instant. I originally thought Liu Ryan had shortcomings, and seeing how she treated you, I was only speaking up for you, but I could genuinely feel how well she treated me. Feelings are something nobody can control, which you know very well. Otherwise you wouldn't have liked Liu Ryan for so long. Right at that moment, Liu Ryan, drenched in sweat, arrived at the hotel's 88th floor. As soon as she exited the elevator, she saw me standing there. Because of me, she had been reduced to such a mess. Looking at me, she asked, "What are you doing here?" Right now, I didn't want to stay here either, but your boyfriend insisted on keeping me, claiming your card was left with me. Liu Ryan's body stiffened. terrified that I would expose her situation in front of our classmates. What a fine excuse about forced love. If I remember correctly, you used to constantly badmouth Liu Ryan in my ear telling me to stop liking her. How come you ended up with her yourself now? He had wanted to convince everyone that they were mutually drawn to each other, never expecting I would expose his past slander about Liu Ryan. Back then, he spoke ill of her to make me give up so he could be with Liu Ryan himself. Yet despite hearing so many of her flaws, I had stubbornly stayed infatuated with her. Falling in love happens in an instant. I originally thought Liu Ryan had shortcomings, and seeing how she treated you, I was only speaking up for you, but I could truly feel how well she treated me. Feelings are something nobody can control, which you know very well. Otherwise you wouldn't have liked Liu Ryan for so long. Right at that moment, Liu Ryan, drenched in sweat, arrived at the hotel's 88th floor. The moment she stepped out of the elevator, she saw me standing there. Because of me, she had been reduced to such a state. Glaring at me, she asked, "What are you doing here?" Right now, I had no desire to stay here either, but your boyfriend insisted on keeping me here, saying your card was left with me. Liu Ryan froze, terrified that I would expose her true background before all our classmates. 2 hours had passed since the banquet ended, and seeing Liu Ryan returned, the classmates felt a surge of hope. They all walked over. "Ryan, you are finally back. The staff here said we cannot leave without paying. What happened?" Trying her best to remain calm, she smiled faintly. "It's nothing. I'll take care of this right now." Liu Ryan said to the manager, "There is 50,000 RMB on this credit card, and I will pay the rest via WeChat." She had gone back to sell the luxury gifts I gave her, only to find the cash was far from enough. In an emergency, she remembered a credit card she had applied for when the semester started. Li Jincheng whispered, "Didn't you say the card was with Gu Fan? Why are you using a credit card?" Liu Ryan explained, "Let me pay the bill first, and I will explain everything to you once we get back." Li Jincheng was unwilling, and he demanded loudly. He disliked how even at this point, Liu Ryan was still protecting me. Today passed. He would never have the chance to take control of Liu Ryan's cards. Liu Ryan turned to Zi Jincheng, her tone sharpening. "Didn't I say we'd talk once we get back?" Zi Jincheng failed to notice her distress, assuming she just didn't want to humiliate me in front of our classmates. Still mindful of our shared hometown connection, but Zi Jincheng refused to let it go. I spoke up. "Liu Ryan, you claimed your bank card was with me." Zi Jincheng, the classmates, and I all stared at her. Liu Ryan was extremely vain. She didn't want Zi Jincheng and our classmates to know she was actually just an empty-shelled fake heiress. Over the past year in the capital, only I knew her real family background. Everyone else thought she was from a wealthy family. This was the first time she had tasted the power of wealth, so she didn't want to lose that status. Without answering my question, she suppressed the rage in her chest and smiled at the manager. "I will settle the bill first." After following the manager to complete the payment, Liu Ryan returned and apologized to the classmates. "I am so sorry for making you all wait here for so long. I have settled the bill." The classmates' moods were already foul, but since everyone present was close friends with Liu Ryan and Zi Jincheng, and the payment was completed, it wasn't right to complain further, especially on Zi Jincheng's birthday. Just as the classmates were about to leave, I called out to stop them. "Other matters have not been resolved yet. If you leave now, the whole school will hear tomorrow that I kept Liu Ryan's bank card and refused to give it back. I cannot bear such a false accusation." Watching me determined to ruin everything today, Liu Ryan said to our classmates, "This is our private matter. Gu Fan is probably just agitated because Jincheng and I got together. You all head back first, and I will handle this properly." Looking at her lying so shamelessly without batting an eye, she truly had thick skin, but I was no longer the cowardly, gullible fool. From my past life, I spoke with calm composure. "Classmates, I have not suffered any emotional breakdown. While it is true I liked Liu Ryan in the past, I have realized she is nothing more than a vain, gold-digging woman. As for who she wants to be with, I don't care in the slightest. But regarding today, I completely reject her claim that her bank card is with me. In fact, all the money she normally spends has always been mine." The classmates had previously seen Liu Ryan buying whatever she wanted with me paying, so they naturally assumed her card was kept with me, even if Liu Ryan hadn't said so. Everyone would have assumed the same. Everyone burst into laughter. Gu-fan, you are way too shameless. How could an outstanding and gorgeous woman like Liu Ryan be a gold digger? With her stellar academic record, she can easily earn 10,000 RMB a month working part-time. Look at what Liu Ryan wears and uses daily. And then look at what you wear and use. Classmates all sided with Liu Ryan, believing I was telling some ridiculous joke and waiting for me to be humiliated. However, everyone was disappointed. Liu Ryan didn't argue back, merely smiling and saying to the classmates, "Everyone, please head back. It's truly unsafe to return to school so late." Was not going to let her off so easily. Liu Ryan, it takes just one sentence. How much of your time could it possibly waste? Tell your classmates right now whether your card is with me or not. Seeing my relentless pressure, Liu Ryan could only play dumb. Perhaps I misremembered. My card might have been misplaced somewhere else and couldn't be found. The crowd still thought Liu Ryan was being kind-hearted, trying to spare my feelings at this moment. Hearing her excuse, I couldn't help laughing out loud. It had better be that way, otherwise, for the coming days, you will have to work tirelessly to pay off the debt from your boyfriend's birthday party tonight. Furthermore, since you are so wealthy, return all the numerous gifts I gave you over the years. I will give you one night to pack them all up. Having said this, I turned and left. My parents were still waiting in the car, worried that something had happened to me since I hadn't come down for so long, and had already sent me multiple messages. It was getting late, and the classmates returned to school. Walking alongside Liu Ryan, Li Jincheng was pondering what my words had meant. How could Liu Ryan possibly end up working off debt for a mere birthday party? Originally, like the classmates, he thought I was joking, but seeing her preoccupied and anxious expression, Li Jincheng inevitably felt worried. He gathered his courage and took Liu Ryan's hand. Liu Ryan turned and saw his understanding face, managing only a strained smile. "Ryan, what did Gu-fan mean by those words earlier?" Liu Ryan had no idea what I was planning. Today's string of events made her feel I had changed completely, and she worried whether I would still let her manipulate me like before. But having just gotten together with Li Jincheng, she didn't want to tarnish her image in his eyes. "It's nothing. He was probably just agitated because we got together." Liu Ryan's words gave Li Jincheng reassurance. He came from a very impoverished family in a mountain town, carrying huge family expectations. He had worked tirelessly to gain admission to Tsinghua University and had painstakingly attached himself to Liu Ryan, this wealthy beauty. If Liu Ryan turned out not to be a rich heiress, wouldn't all his long efforts be completely in vain? My parents happened to be staying in the capital for a period, so I accompanied them to Longjing Garden. This was the Gu family's villa in the city center. In my past life, I rarely lived here, having blessings yet choosing hardship instead. In this life, I would not suffer a single hardship. I wanted to live the life of a true wealthy young master. Although the Gu family seldom stayed here, the villa was always well cared for. Wang Ma had also come along from Longcheng because my mother loved Wang Ma's cooking and brought her wherever she went. The moment I entered, I saw Wang Ma and called out warmly, "Wang Ma, Wang Ma," replied at once, "Young master, I am here." Wang Ma had worked in the Gu household for over 20 years. In my past life, after Liu Ryan took over the Gu family, Wang Ma was falsely accused of theft and driven out. I had genuinely believed Wang Ma would do such a thing, but looking back now, Liu Ryan merely wanted to get rid of her. It was said Wang Ma passed away shortly after leaving the Gu home, though I never learned how she died. For that woman Liu Ryan, I had truly brought ruin upon my own family. "Wang Ma, I missed you so much. I haven't seen you in so long." Holding a cleaning rag, Wang Ma looked flustered. She glanced toward my parents, who both shook their heads, indicating they had no idea what was going on. All right. Wasn't it just 2 months since you last saw each other? Strangers would think you hadn't met in 10 years, my mother teased. I felt I had indeed gotten a bit too emotional, and sheepishly stuck my tongue out. My parents, if she wasn't a rich heiress, wouldn't all his hard efforts be completely wasted? My parents happened to be staying in the capital for a while, so I also accompanied them to Longjing Garden. This was the Gu family's villa in the city center. In my past life, I rarely lived here, choosing suffering over comfort. In this life, I would not endure any hardship. I wanted to live my rightful life as a wealthy young master. Although the Gu family rarely stayed here, it was always meticulously maintained. Wang Ma had also come from Longcheng with us, because my mother loved her cooking and brought Wang Ma wherever she went. The moment I entered, I saw Wang Ma and called out warmly, "Wang Ma." Wang Ma answered right away, "Young master, I am here." Wang Ma had worked for the Gu family for over 20 years. In my past life, after Liu Ryan took over, Wang Ma was falsely accused of theft and expelled from the house. I had actually believed Wang Ma did it, but now I realize it was just Liu Ryan wanting to replace her. Rumor had it Wang Ma died shortly after leaving, though I never knew the cause. For that woman Liu Ryan, I had truly brought destruction upon my family. Wang Ma, I missed you so much. I haven't seen you in forever. Holding a rag, Wang Ma stood bewildered. She looked at my parents, who shook their heads, indicating they had no idea what was happening. All right, wasn't it only 2 months since you met? People would think you hadn't seen each other in 10 years. My mother laughed. I felt I had indeed been quite emotional, embarrassedly looking at my parents and sticking my tongue out, then returned to my room and lay down on the soft, plush bed. It felt like sleeping on a fluffy cloud, wonderfully comfortable. I hadn't slept in such a cozy bed in so long. Thinking back to the year in the landfill, during my past life, it felt as torturous as decades. Just as I was about to fall asleep, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Zijin Chang. "Gu fan, why haven't you returned yet? I saved some birthday cake for you." I didn't reply, instead opening WeChat Moments and seeing Zijin Chang had posted about tonight's birthday party. "Happy 20th birthday. My 19th birthday wish has come true. I am finally with the person I love." Attached below was a photo of Zijin Chang and Liu Ryan. Looking at that photo, I spaced out for a long time. So Zijin Chang had already liked Liu Ryan when he was 19, yet I hadn't noticed at all, even assuming that Zijin Chang disliked Liu Ryan. Scrolling down further, I saw Liu Ryan had also posted, officially announced with the exact same photo of them. Beneath it, I commented, "Remember to organize all the items I gifted you and return them to me tomorrow." Over the years, I had spent a massive fortune on her. Those luxury items were very valuable and could fetch a considerable sum secondhand. Without my financial support, Liu Ryan would surely sell them. Even if I threw them away, I wouldn't let Liu Ryan profit off them. After commenting, I exited WeChat Moments. Just as I was about to rest, a woman's figure appeared. In my mind, Shen Yachu. I suddenly remembered this woman, the woman who had held me in her arms as I died in my previous life. Shen Yachu and Liu Ryan were in the same class. If Liu Ryan was considered a talented girl in the CS department, then Shen Yachu was an absolute computing deity. Though only a sophomore, she had already won several major awards for the university. Although in the same class as Liu Ryan, she rarely came to campus. Recalling our history, Shen Yachu and I actually had an arranged betrothal, but in freshman year I fiercely opposed it, believing marriage in the modern era should be free, so I rejected the union with Shen Yachu. Our betrothal had been arranged when we were still in our mothers' wombs by Shen Yachu's grandparents and mine. I only remembered that in my past life Shen Yachu had approached me, but I coldly rejected her. From then on, Shen Yachu rarely showed up on campus. Seeing her now was difficult, but I thought of a way her parents had arrived in the capital, so a dinner between our families was inevitable, making it easy to meet Shen Yachu then. After taking a shower, Liu Ryan was about to organize the items she had sold today. The situation had been so urgent that she listed the luxury bags I gave her on an online platform. The buyers had already transferred the money, but she hadn't shipped the packages yet. Organizing them tonight meant she could mail them out early tomorrow. After packing everything, she opened her WeChat Moments. The post she shared earlier had received numerous likes and comments, all praising her and Zijin Chang as a perfect golden couple, wishing them everlasting joy, along with many comments covertly mocking and ridiculing me. Scrolling down further, her smile froze. My comment appeared right before her eyes. She had assumed I was only speaking out of momentary anger, never expecting I would comment publicly. Some mutual friends had already started insulting me on her behalf. She silently deleted that comment and opened our chat window. "What did you mean by what you said today? Going so far as to comment on my moments? Do we really have to make things so ugly? Besides, The things you gave me were thrown away long ago. If you want them, go look in the dumpster." Having said that, she deleted our entire chat history, then tapped into her chat with Zi Jincheng and began flirting sweetly. As for those luxury gifts, she didn't believe I would actually demand them back. Moreover, she knew me well, how deeply I loved her, and how soft-hearted I was, which was why she had always manipulated me. That was why she dared to disregard me completely. The next morning, many unfamiliar faces appeared in the computer science lecture hall. Zi Jincheng sat next to Li Ryan. Both he and I were design majors, but he usually came to audit Li Ryan's classes. He knew there were many male students who liked Li Ryan, so coming today was to let them know Li Ryan was already taken. However, noticing significantly more students in class today, assumed they had all come to see his girlfriend, holding his head high with pride. Unexpectedly, the moment the teacher stepped onto the podium, he said, "What wind blew Master Shen over today?" Zi Jincheng turned around and saw Shen Yechu, with her refined, exquisite features and noble grace. A woman like her would command attention wherever she went. Hearing the teacher's words, Shen Yechu stood up and greeted him with a smile. "Good morning, Professor." John Long was a humorous teacher, yet quite strict when it came to lectures and coursework. In his class, any student of this major who skipped class more than 3 times would fail the semester, with the sole exception of Shen Yechu, because her technical skills were formidable, and the two often discussed techniques. Privately, their relationship was not merely teacher and student, but close friends. At that moment, carrying a textbook, I entered the classroom. I glanced at Li Ryan and Zi Jincheng. Zi Jincheng waved at me, but had no intention of inviting me over, because they hadn't saved a seat for me today. Li Ryan thought I couldn't let go of her easily, assuming I had come to audit her class as usual. Finding it strange that there wasn't a single empty seat in the entire lecture hall, I looked around the packed room. Just as I wondered where to sit, my eyes landed on an empty seat in the corner. Beside the empty seat sat a young woman in a crisp white shirt. Her complexion was fair and pure, her skin like warm jade. My heart stopped for a few seconds. This young woman was indeed Shen Yechu. Looking closely, she was tens of thousands of times more beautiful than Li Ryan. I must have been utterly blind in my past life to fall for Li Ryan. A book lay on the empty desk, and sure if she was saving it for someone or didn't want anyone sitting next to her. What a fortunate coincidence. I was just wondering how to meet her. My eyes darted with an idea, and I walked over. A low voice sounded beside Shen Yechu's ear. "Hello, classmate. May I ask if anyone is sitting here?" Shen Yechu looked up and saw me, freezing slightly as if wondering if her ears were deceiving her. I asked again, "Classmate, is this seat taken? May I sit here?" Having heard my question clearly, Shen Yechu shook her head. "No, please sit." In truth, this seat was saved by Shen Yechu for her friend Feng sitting. Just after I sat down, a girl walked in through the back door. Seeing a boy seated beside Shen Yechu, she braked abruptly. She was Shen Yechu's close friend on campus, Feng sitting. Shen Yechu had never spoken to any male student at school, so a boy sitting next to her was definitely extraordinary. Seeing no other seats left, she smacked her own forehead and sent Shen Yechu a message. "My dear friend, my 3 skip class allowances for this semester are all used up. You traitor, prioritizing romance over friendship. If I skip next time and fail the finals, since you are so close to the professor, you must put in a good word for me." After sending this, she left the classroom. Shen Yechu looked at Feng Siding's message, a faint smile appearing on her lips. Afraid of being too obvious, she quickly tucked it away. I caught the smile on her lips, a smile I had never seen before. Yo, sent her that message. Was it someone she liked? Zi Jincheng saw me sitting beside Shen Yechu and gritted his teeth in sheer jealousy. Had Shen Yechu not been away from school so often, he would never have pursued Li Ryan. Yet now I was sitting right beside her, and he even caught a glimpse of Shen Yechu smiling. Li Ryan turned away coldly, thinking I was definitely trying to spite her, confident that I would soon learn not everyone would be as accommodating as she was. I had always attended computer science classes, but hadn't seen Shen Yechu during sophomore year, wondering why she suddenly showed up today. Perhaps it was an opportunity granted by heaven. In this life, I would never hurt Shen Yechu again. During previous lectures, I had constantly stared at Li Ryan, captivated by her beauty and barely listened to the lessons, but having been reborn, I refused to squander my youth as I had in my past life. Shenyechu was a top computing prodigy, and I wanted to master computer science so we would have common topics to share. Moreover, I knew that in a few years, with the rise of artificial intelligence, computing would become extremely lucrative. The Go family currently operated in traditional industries, and I wanted to transform our family businesses. Throughout the lecture, I raised my hand from time to time to ask the teacher about concepts I didn't understand, diligently taking notes in my textbook. Everyone was curious why I had suddenly become so enthusiastic. Liu Ryan sneered inwardly. Even if I tried desperately to perform, she wouldn't spare me a second glance. After class, I looked at Shenyechu beside me. She was packing her books to leave. It had been so hard to see her attend class, and I didn't know when our next encounter would be. To make up for the regrets of my past life, I gathered my courage. Classmate, I heard you are a computing deity. Have some questions I'd like to ask you about. Would it be convenient to add you on WeChat? I wondered if Shenyechu still remembered the dinner our families had in freshman year. At the table, the Shen family brought up our betrothal, but I fiercely objected, saying I would rather die than marry her. Back then, I had already seen Shenyechu on campus, and CS students were always comparing Shenyechu and Liu Ryan. Blinded by foolish infatuation, I had resented Shenyechu as well. Yet after that dinner, I had never seen Shenyechu on campus again. Shenyechu stood there quietly looking at me, saying neither yes nor no. After a long silence, I gave myself away. Out, if it's inconvenient, never mind. To my surprise, Shenyechu expressionlessly opened her WeChat QR code. Her hand trembled slightly, imperceptible, unless observed closely, and her body was tense. Only after I scanned the QR code and sent the friend request did she quietly breathe a sigh of relief, then calmly turned off her screen. The light from the screen seemed to reflect in her deep, sparkling eyes. Shenyechu turned and left the classroom. I was still wondering if it was merely polite courtesy and whether she would accept my friend requests. With no time to ponder, I saw Liu Ryan and Zijin Chen packing their books to leave. Wait a moment, Liu Ryan, you can delete me, but you must return all the things I gave you. My voice halted everyone preparing to leave the room. Zijin Chen turned around with his trademark fake smile. Zifan, why didn't you return to the dorm last night? I sent you so many messages without any reply. Are you alright? With such flawless acting in his fake concern, number wonder I was deceived in my past life. Drop the hypocrisy. Are my things ready? Zijin Chen replied to Fan, I know you are upset about Ryan and me being together, but I hope we can still remain friends. Zijin Chen always spoke with calculated tact. I didn't bother with his pleasantries. I came today purely to ask if Liu Ryan has packed the gifts I gave her. I am done supporting a white lotus like her. Almost everyone remained in the classroom, watching the spectacle. Walking in the corridor outside, Shenyechu heard the voices inside and halted her steps. Gufan, are you alright with your background? What expensive things could you give Ryan? Is just enraged that Jin Cheng and Ryan got together, throwing a tantrum to demand even a pair of socks back. Look at your pathetic, impoverished self. Liu Ryan and Zijin Cheng enjoyed great popularity in school. So many people spoke up to defend them. In the past, whenever issues arose, I was the one resolving them, letting them take all the credit while I was used like a fool. Looking at this crowd being completely fooled by Liu Ryan, I couldn't help laughing. You don't truly believe that Liu Ryan is an actual wealthy heiress, do you? I walked toward Liu Ryan, looking her up and down. Then let me tell all of you, right now, everything she is wearing from head to toe was bought by me. If she relied on herself, she couldn't even afford the socks on her feet. The designer VK socks on her feet right now cost 8,000 RMB a pair. Wow, she cannot even pay her 5,000 RMB annual tuition. If not for me, she wouldn't even be attending Qingbai University. My words sliced into Liu Ryan's heart like a sharp blade. Liu Ryan asked in a low, trembling voice, must you make things so humiliating? I am not the one making it humiliating. You brought this entirely on yourself. Besides, private with your roommates, you call me your little errand boy. If not for seeing her roommate's comment under her Moments post yesterday, I wouldn't have known how disgusting Liu Ryan truly was. I sneered at Liu Ryan For the sake of our acquaintance over the years, I can let you keep the outfit you have on. But all previous gifts must be returned in full. Zi Jincheng knew many of her items were gifted by me, yet still believed her family was wealthier than mine. Gu Fan, aren't you going too far? Going too far. It's not me going too far, but the two of you being utterly shameless. For over a year, you spent my money while mocking me as a fool behind my back and calling me your errand boy. Except for me. Anyone with a shred of decency would never be as brazenly shameless as you two. Zi Jincheng said, did we force you to spend money on us? Did we hold a knife to your throat to make you give us gifts? Taking gifts back after giving them. I have never seen anyone like you. Zi Jincheng usually gave a very friendly impression and was skilled at putting on an act. With his words, the crowd once again took their side. Exactly. Who demands gifts back after giving them? He is truly shameless. You really shouldn't befriend people from poor families. They demand every single gift back. If Ryan's family weren't wealthy, would he use such cheap things himself while giving Ryan such expensive gifts? In the end, he just wanted to climb social ranks, and now that he's exposed, he's throwing a fit and tearing everything apart. Listening to their idle gossip, I didn't care at all. Spending money is for happiness. Things I bought with my own money can naturally be disposed of as I please. And like certain people who pretend to be so noble, yet don't even have 100 RMB in their pockets, only able to deceive an innocent guy like me. But now I refuse to be deceived. What is wrong with wanting my things back? Liu Ryan looked at me. My appearance was the same, yet my words and mindset were no longer those of the person she once knew. The current me was intelligent, clear-headed, with distinct lines between love and hate. I stared fixedly at Liu Ryan. She had an exceptionally fragile ego. If this continued, what good would it do for her reputation? She might even become the laughingstock of the whole university. Fine, Gu Fan, I will return them right now. However, let me clarify, I am not a white lotus you kept. Back then, you were the one begging me to accept your gifts. After returning the gifts, please never pester me again. Liu Ryan pulled Zi Jincheng and walked out of the classroom. Half an hour later, I received a text from Zi Jincheng. The items are packed and placed downstairs at the female dormitory. I arrived at the entrance of the female dormitory. Most of the items inside were still practically brand new, some even unopened. As for selling them secondhand, I had no need for that small amount of money, yet throwing them away was a waste. I found a cloth, laid everything out on the ground, and announced, ladies, beautiful, seniors, juniors, and passers-by, don't miss out. The items here are free for the taking. Feel free to browse if you need anything. Although Qingbai University was located in the capital with many wealthy students, there were also students from remote mountain villages who worked diligently to enter Qingbai. A single item here could equal several months of their living allowance. Rather than throwing them out, it was better to give them to others, whether they choose to sell them on second-hand platforms or keep them for personal use, as long as it wasn't Liu Ryan. I didn't care. I called out down there for a long while, but nobody came. I had overlooked that students have strong self-esteem. In my past life living at the landfill, when people donated good clothes or food, I was deeply grateful, because back then I was starving and freezing. Dignity didn't matter when fighting to survive. These students weren't in such desperate situations. Some would rather wear cheap 9-yuan clothes from bargain apps than accept charity. Considering this, I found a piece of paper and wrote, "Dear fellow students, these are items I no longer need, some brand new and never used. If you need anything, simply scan the code and pay 1 RMB to take it." Setting down the sign, I didn't leave immediately, but sat at the campus milk tea shop sipping a drink while watching the dormitory entrance, worried that Liu Ryan might come down and take them back. Before long, many students passing by the dormitory picked items they wanted. They weren't greedy, selecting only 1 or 2 pieces and scanning the code to take them. Soon, my phone's payment chime announced, WeChat Pay received 1 RMB. Sitting in the milk tea shop, I received payments and scanned the code to take them. Soon, my phone's payment notification rang out with WeChat Pay receiving 1 RMB. Sitting inside the milk tea shop, I received payments non-stop. People in the milk tea shop were curious about what kind of business I was running, so bustling with customers, yet only 1 RMB per order, jokingly wondering if my family was running a street stall selling popsicles. After about an hour, all The items have been taken away. My mood was exceptionally bright, because in my past life I had also received help from many kind people. So in this life, I wanted to help others too. It turned out helping people brought such genuine joy. Having given away all the items, I gave Uncle Liu a phone call, asking Uncle Liu to drive in to pick me up, as I had no desire to stay in the dormitory. Liu Ryan sat inside her dorm room in dead silence. All the items had already been returned to me, and now numerous buyers were furiously demanding shipment. Her head throbbed with immense anxiety. Some of the buyers were even students from our university. Yesterday, to make them believe her and pay in advance, she had given them her real name and dorm room number. At this time, since nobody could reach her by phone, they had no choice but to come directly to room 303.